First of all, like I start every news conference, I want to thank the news media for being here, because without you guys, we do not get the message out. There's no doubt about that. So again, thanks. And I also recognize that there is a lot of people here today, and I know it's a lot of people who are very concerned about their cottages, no matter where they are. But this session today is strictly to be able to get information out through the media to the public. Now, Gary Hanlon, who I can see today, is here. Wave, Gary, and I got your name right today. He's here. If anybody has any specifics, there's other people from M&R who are here, but this is not a public debate or anything like that. This is strictly to give out the most current information that's there. The other thing is, for people, if you want to get the message out to others, this goes live right after we've done it. So as fast as Barry tapes it and puts it back through the process, it's on YouTube. And I've watched it, and it's very good and it's very informative. I want to recognize that we have Councillors Curley, Doody, and Black here. And I also want to recognize, and somebody corrected me on this yesterday, I know when you're looking at the media releases, we're always talking about 30 or 35 kilometers from Timmins. That's from the core of Timmins. We recognize that some of the cottage areas are definitely within Timmins boundaries, and we're very, very concerned about that as well. So I'm going to get right into it. First of all, the City Emergency Planning Team has been meeting. This will be our third day this morning. And again, that's if the crisis was to get any worse or we had to look at any other evacuations. And I want to emphasize here right now, we are not looking at any of that. So we meet every morning. The M&R continues to make progress fighting the fire. Today's cooler temperatures combined with calmer winds and the rain forecast, which I keep my fingers crossed for, is great news and will aid in the suppression efforts. I want to say, and I'm sure M&R will emphasize it, if we get rain today, it's great, but it's not going to change the situation. We need a lot of rain. We need a lot of rain to change the situation. But whatever rain we get with these kind of temperatures definitely helps M&R and the firefighters in their task. There are no, and I'm going to emphasize this again, there are no significant property losses to report. Only a few sheds and a truck have been identified as values compromised. Yesterday I was on the east side of Kenogami Sea in Hydro Bay looking across, and I have to tell you the M&R has done a phenomenal job. I watched the helicopters, I watched the water buckets. Unbelievable. I have so much admiration for the people at M&R and what they do, as well as the people from Red Cross. Unbelievable. Fire is still 30 to 35 kilometers away from the city of Timmins core, and based on mapping techniques, fire is at 39,518 hectares, not the 41,000 hectares that were previously reported yesterday here. So it's a little smaller. The 25 four-person fire ranger crews from Ontario and 20 four-person crews from BC are on the front line working fire suppression. So I mean, you do the math, that's a lot of people out there working. That doesn't count people at the M&R office and the equipment that's out there, the helicopters, the bombers, etc. Full aerial assault will continue today. And again, as I did yesterday, I'm asking private aircrafts to stay away from the fire zone. In fact, on the city's website, and it may be linked over now to the M&R website, there's a whole process as to how far private aircraft should be away. The last thing we want is a fatality, another fire, another emergency, because somebody's now impeded the emergency people. I know everybody values their property, and I know you're concerned about it, but if we don't let these people do the work, we're going to be going backwards. Right now we're going forwards, and that's a good positive step. I want to emphasize that with the aggressive suppression effort, the city of Timmins is in no imminent danger. Lakeshore Gold, which has been closed, I believe, since Thursday evening or Friday, reports that they will be back in full production beginning this evening. We do not anticipate any new evacuation orders. The City of Timmins Welcome Registration Center, which is downstairs here at the McIntyre, operated by the Red Cross, will be decommissioned today. Anyone requiring assistance can call the Timmins office of the Canadian Red Cross at 705-267-4900 or visit their office on 60 Wilson. And again, this information will be posted on the city's website. There was a rumor that the mayor said that we were going to be opening the highway yesterday. The mayor never said that. That's a rumor. Highway 144 and Highway 101 continue to be closed. Continue to be closed. No airport-related issues to report. All flights are on schedule, so there's no impact at the airport. An emergency area order remains in place. An outdoor water ban continues. And again, I ask car washes and car dealers to consider water conservation methods. And again, I urge people who are watering their grass and that, if something was to change on this fire, we want to make sure that we have water for fires, not to water grass today. And as this fire unfolds, we'll update that as well. I want to emphasize what I said yesterday with respect to updates and information accuracy. This situation is fast moving, and so information changes at the drop of a hat. So an example, if you pick up our phone hotline, if nothing has changed, the message hasn't changed. We send out 2 media briefs a day. We have 1 press conference a day. There's no way with a fire this size that we can be changing information every 20 minutes or half an hour. But if something drastic changes, similar to the other day where actually we had the press conference here and we said the fire hadn't crossed 101 or 144, half an hour later it did, we made sure we got that information out, and we will continue to do that. I would encourage residents to visit YouTube from a link on the city website to view this and all other edited news conferences. Again, very informative. And again, if you missed something here today, great way to go back and hear what different people said. The city website has experienced record unique visits, and I've been assured by our IT department that they have indeed implemented corrective actions to fix the problems that we occurred with so many people hitting it all at the same time. Again, I want to take this opportunity, and I'm going to do a lot better job of this as we get past this situation, but I want to thank everyone involved in this situation. And I want to thank the many businesses and residents who have contributed through donations, water, Gatorade, food, fly repellent. If you're a police officer or a firefighter out on the 144 corridor, the flies are, I never seen them that big, so I thought they were going to carry me away the other night. We're all grateful for your generosity and kindness in time of need. And again, I want to urge everybody to stay vigilant. This situation is getting better, and I think as M&R does their little session, you will see that as well. So I'll ask Michelle Nowak to come up. Is Michelle here? I got you. That's even better. We'll get Gary. And do you think you need the mic, Gary, or can you yell?
I can yell.
Okay.
No problem.
Okay, we don't need the mic.
So the mayor did a very good job of explaining what the calming effect that the weather is having on the fire today. That calming effect's it's helping us in that our plan we made last night we're actually sticking to, and it's the first time in several days I can say the plan we made last night we're sticking to right now. It's jumping around as the conditions were changing out there was very difficult. So just a couple points about the operations today, and that's, we are continuing to protect the values on a prioritized basis. The extent of that is as far south down the 140 corridor as Matagami Shores. I'm sorry, I know the grid names, the place names are, I'm from not from around here. We are mopping up around the structural values which the fires infringed on, and specifically that would be the Cache Bay and the McCowan area. And then we're also tidying up, there were some spot fires across Kennegamissi Lake, and we've got those spot fires in pretty good shape right now, and the crews are continuing to work hard today, mop them up and extinguish them. As the weather, as the certainty of the precipitation increases and we get a better handle on how much precipitation we're going to get, we will very quickly shift from value protection to getting our staff up on the fire line. We have some staff up there right now, but most of the effort to date's been on the value protection effort. So as we shift gears, you'll see more and more heavy equipment and fire crews establishing control lines, and the priority right now is that east flank. The only other real key piece of operational information for us and it may be a bit weedy, is that we do have some infrared scanning scheduled for later this afternoon, and that's simply where the fire has ground itself into some natural boundaries at night, and in the areas around the values where our crews are mopping up, we're going to get some infrared scanning going here shortly and just check and make sure that those areas are secure, and we'll be able to leave them alone and move our firefighters off onto higher priority areas. So those are our general tactics for the day. As the weather changes, we adjust them a little bit, but that's the general sense. As the rain increases, we'll shift from value protection to establishing control lines around the fire. And that, again, just like the values, will be on a prioritized basis. The fire is so large, you can't go at the whole thing all at once, but we will prioritize the areas and get in there as fast as we can.
Thank you, and if I could ask Randy Pickering.
What I wanted to just comment on today is the situation around the more general Crown land evacuations and the access restrictions that we've had in place since the emergency area order went into effect. Again, I know it's been now a week since the first evacuations took place when the fire started, and those progressed very quickly in the course of a couple of days. And as you know, the size, the shape, the configuration of this particular fire has resulted in quite a large geographic area being subject to this restricted access and the number of evacuations of camps, access points, etc. that have happened over the course of the past week. I do want to comment in terms of looking ahead, and as things start to stabilize around the fire, we are constantly analyzing the situation with the fire team in terms of what the risks are for the areas that are currently evacuated, and looking forward, obviously, when possibly we may be able to start getting some people back. We cannot comment specifically on anything right now, but just to say it is still going to take some period of time, and when we are allowing individuals back to the areas that have been evacuated, just to stress that it is going to be in a coordinated fashion, in an orderly fashion, in conjunction with ourselves, the fire team, and the OPP. Because the last thing we want is people going in helter-skelter. So it definitely will be organized and coordinated. So it's not going to be happening all at once. There will be a progression, I suspect, as we start to move folks back. I do want to stress, however, that now as the fire team is actually moving more resources into the fire area to actually start on fire suppression, that means more M&R fire staff, more equipment, more activity within the broader fire area. And for that reason, I want those that are particularly west of Highway 144 and south of 101 within that particular area to realize that it's probably going to be some period of time before we're going to be able to allow access back into that area. So I think just not to raise your expectations, to be realistic, you can expect that there will be a number of access restrictions in place for an extended period of time. As I say, we will continue to update you as more information becomes available, and as we are able to make hopefully some changes as we go forward later this week and into the next while. But again, I want to stress the reason for those restrictions are, first of all, for the safety of anyone who might find themselves in there. We don't want people going in to put themselves at risk in terms of the fire that is still there. The number of people that we have in there working in terms of the fire crews and equipment and vehicles, and secondly, for the safety of those individuals that are in there and allow them to do the work that they need to do. So, as I say, M&R, in working with fire and working with the OPP, will update you as things progress, and we will keep that information flowing.
Thanks, Randy. If I could get Mark from an OPP perspective. You don't need the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bear, you want to give me a thumbs up if this is good? We're all good? Right on. Okay. most of what I have to say has already been said, so this might be a little redundant, but nonetheless, steadfast and structured patrols remain in full effect by the Ontario Provincial Police. Marine and ATV patrols are diligently protecting all private property within the affected areas. So with that in mind, the key points here are that there have been no significant events involving malfeasance involving any of your properties. None have been reported to the OPP, and none have been located or discovered by our patrolling officers within the affected areas. Property owners should take some level of comfort knowing that their properties are being monitored by means of an on-site physical inspection at least once daily. Anybody who's been on your property is wearing an M&R shoulder flash or an OPP shoulder flash, and that's where it ends. Nobody else is allowed access to your properties. For safety reasons, both Highway 101 and 144 remain closed for the time being. The boundaries exist on Highway 101 from the Millett's Lumber Road to the Conogaming Road, some distance east of the town of Foleyet. On the 144, the boundaries exist from the junction of Highway 101 and 144 to the town of Gogama at Highway 661. We are sensitive to the fact that these are vital arteries for the city of Timmins, but for reasons of public safety, we're committed to maintaining a safety level for all motorists using those roadways, and because of the fact that M&R fire crews have to reach different locations in a hurried fashion, as well as a number of our officers are patrolling in those areas, we need for the highways to remain closed for the time being. There should be cautious optimism that perhaps Highway 101 will reopen in the next 24 hours. But be patient with us, please. We appreciate that we're causing a major disruption, but it is deemed to be absolutely necessary for your own safety. The mayor has touched on the fact that Lakeshore night shift will be resuming this evening, with strict access being controlled and monitored by the OPP. It is my understanding that Lakeshore Gold is approaching its employees to make sure they follow the established procedures. If they haven't been contacted by their employer, at this point I would urge them to show up at the roadblock with some form of identification that identifies them as a Lakeshore Mine employee. Otherwise, there could be some issues arising from that for obvious reasons. People continue to filter out of the Horwood Lake area for the time being, and they should know that once they pass by our roadblock, they will not be allowed to return for the time being. Again, we won't allow re-entry until it is safe to do so. Randy touched on the re-entry, and he is absolutely on point when he says that this is becoming more and more of a realistic possibility, but it will only be done as a result of a coordinated effort between the M&R and the OPP. It will be undertaken. Your patience is vital. We do appreciate it. There's no question. Some cottagers have made it clear that they feel helpless, and hopefully these sessions help alleviate that level of anxiety. Property owners need to know that anyone that has been on your property, as I said, is wearing a uniform. He's there for a legitimate purpose, be it fire suppression efforts by the M&R or property protection by the OPP, one of the two. In closing, on behalf of Staff Sergeant Webb and countless OPP officers, I can't tell you how appreciative we are with the general public and their generous donations of water and other in-kind gifts to our